Get ready for a brand new show powered by the Cyberwire. Coming June 1st, this new podcast was created by operational technology cybersecurity experts for the OT community, as well as those wishing to expand their knowledge on ICS threat intelligence and OT security strategies. Get an insider's perspective from OT leaders and operators to bridge the gap between IT and OT cybersecurity in the industrial industry. Tune in to find out who we partner with to bring you this insightful podcast. Welcome to the Cyberwire's Research Saturday podcast, brought to you in part by Collide, endpoint security powered by people. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cyberwire's Research Saturday. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is our weekly conversation with researchers and analysts tracking down threats and vulnerabilities, solving some of the hard problems of protecting ourselves in a rapidly evolving cyberspace. Thanks for joining us.
I was looking for a new research target, and I somehow randomly got to Azure Automation, and it made my eyes pop up, and I thought okay, this might be interesting, and I want to look further.
That's Yanir Tsarimi. He's a cloud security researcher at Orca Security. The research we're discussing today is titled AutoWarp, Critical Cross-Account Vulnerability in Microsoft Azure Automation Service. And now, a word from our sponsor, Collide. Collide sends employees important, timely, and relevant security recommendations for their Linux, Mac, and Windows devices right inside Slack. Collide is perfect for organizations that care deeply about compliance and security, but don't want to get there by locking down devices to the point where they become unusable. Instead of frustrating your employees, Collide educates them about security and device management while directing them to fix important problems. Visit collide.com/researchsaturday to sign up today. That's KOLIDE.com/researchsaturday. Enter your email when prompted to receive your free Collide gift bundle after trial activation. And we thank Collide for sponsoring our show. If you've spent a lot of time and money fighting automated attacks but still feel like you're losing the battle, you're not alone. The truth is, bad bots adapt in seconds and evade expensive, difficult-to-maintain defenses. Now there's a better way with Casada. Casada has flipped the script on bots, ending the game of whack-a-mole. Casada's elegantly simple yet superiorly effective approach puts the burden where it belongs, on the attackers, not your business. Stopping bad bots for good. Casada takes just 30 minutes to deploy and shuts down malicious automation in real time with no manual setup, no annoying CAPTCHAs, and no complex rules to manage. Casada stops the bot attacks others can't. Start today with a free instant test at casada.io/cyberwire. That's KASADA.io/cyberwire. And we thank Casada for making it possible to bring you Research Saturday.
So this is how I got it. How I got to it. It was really, really random. Some may say it was like a stroke of luck, how it all went down. But it was really it's my job. I do the research, and I got to specifically to Azure Automation in a random way.
Well, there is that old saying that luck favors the prepared mind. So I suppose one way, you were primed to notice something that caught your attention, as you say. So walk me through this. I mean, what exactly was it that caught your eye?
So when I was looking at the automation service, I saw that you can upload scripts and run them inside the environment of Azure. And I was like, okay, so let's see what I can do with it. So I uploaded a simple Python script, and I started a reverse shell. So I had like a reverse shell inside the environment. So I was just like typing up commands and looking around what processes are running inside, what files are there. And I was looking around in the file system, and I remember that I've seen like a strange directory in the C hard drive. So I was looking at the directory, and inside I saw a log file. So it was like a folder that you don't usually see on like a standard Windows machine. So I was like looking at the log and like reading it. It was pretty short, like just a few lines. And I remember seeing like an HTTP URL inside the log file. And I said, okay, there's an HTTP set up locally because the URL was pointing to localhost, and it had like a weird port. The port was 40,008, something like that. It was like a completely random number. Like I didn't really understand why would someone like choose this number specifically. So it's like something that caught my eye. So I wanted to understand why is there a server and why this port specifically. I started with making requests to the local server, just to see what would come up. And I got like errors and like forbidden. So I just looked more inside the machine until I've seen that there is like DLL files, that those DLL files are the code of the sandbox. Because when you run inside the automation environment, you are basically running inside a machine with other customers, but you are supposed to be isolated from other customers. So I took this code and I started looking into it, and until I found, I did a reverse engineering of the code, and I saw that that server was actually an interesting server because you could actually make a request and receive the token of your managed identity. So what is the managed identity? It's basically a token that allows you to access all the resources in your Azure account. So when you have this token, for example, if I want to use Azure Automation to create a new virtual machine inside my Azure account, I can use this token and give it permissions to create that virtual machine. And when I can have this token and use it like for other resources, this could be interesting. So I didn't really know if this would be interesting or not because I only knew the basics at this point. The only thing that mattered to me is like that random number that the software engineers chose for this port, for this server.
At this point, I mean, the token that you've gotten back is your token. So am I correct there?
Yeah, so I was using my own port, like it was like my own assigned server. So the token was for my account. Yeah.
I see. So nothing terribly unusual there, or raising any red flags when it comes to security of that.
So yeah, it seemed like it should be happening. Like it seemed like a feature, not a bug. But when I thought about it, like after a few minutes, like I started to think, okay, when I started a new automation job, I would see that this port in the log file changed. Like it was 40,008 and sometimes it was 40,020. Like it was like around 40,000, but it changed. Like each time I ran a new job, I got a different port. So I said, okay, they are assigning like a random port. So I wanted to know, it seemed natural to me that they are trying to create some kind of isolation, because when I was researching that server, I saw that they had some kind of authentication in place and security, like to prevent like unauthorized access to the server. But the problem is when I started scanning inside the machines, I see that other ports are available and they answer to me just like my own server. So I just started saying, okay, let's try to make the same request for the token, but instead of using my own port, I will try to use other ports around that range. So I went from 40,000 and like up to like I did try like 100 ports up, and I started to receive tokens. So I was like, when I saw the tokens, I was like taken aback. Like, okay, what is going on here? This seemed. This
Is
seemed
this
like,
what I think it is?
yeah, this was, it really caught me off guard. Like I was like 2 hours into looking at the service, and I thought, there's no way that something like this would be so easy. I was taking the token, and the thing with this token is it's a JWT, JSON Web Token. So you can actually like decrypt it in some way and like see what data is stored inside the token. What I did is I looked at the data of the tokens I received, and I've seen that they are attached to other customer subscriptions. So I've seen like subscriptions of other companies, and I've seen names and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, this is an issue. Like this is really something I shouldn't be having. So I set up like let's say a victim account just to try to see if I can actually access another account through this token, and it actually worked, and I was like even more surprised that it actually worked. Like against the Azure API, like if you gave any permissions, you could just use those permissions of other customers in their account. So I was like really, really surprised, and I was like holding my head, like I can't believe this. Really, it was really this simple. And I don't have any words to say. Like this, it's something like feels like a bit bizarre or surreal, something like this to happen.
Right. So at that point, what did you think? I mean, do you say to yourself, well, I need to get in touch with Microsoft about this?
Yeah. So this is like standard procedure here. We do the security research, and the moment we find something that we think is a security issue, like we go straight ahead. I wrote up the report to Microsoft the same day and submitted it to them, and like they fixed it within 4 days, I think.
And what was the fix?
So the issue was that you could just ask for the tokens, right? So you had to place some kind of authentication in place or block it entirely, like the access to the server. So Microsoft chose to mitigate this by requiring a special like secret token that only the customer itself should know. So when you start up a new automation job, in your environment variables, you get this special token. And when you request the managed identity token from the server, you need to send them this token that you have in your environment variables.
I see. Now, one of the things you point out in the research you published online here is that Microsoft was quite responsive to you reaching out. They were a good partner here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was. It was a really good experience with Microsoft. Like they responded very, very quickly to all my emails, and they were really appreciative and cooperative in like fixing this problem. It was really a positive experience. Like I think that this is the thing that makes me as a security researcher want to keep going and keep like finding more security vulnerabilities and report them to vendors who treat me like with respect and cooperation.
It also strikes me that, part of what allowed you to get as far as you did with this was that there were several steps along the way where a lot of people would have given up or moved on to something else, and you hung in there and kept digging.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting part about security research is that you can do research on one thing for like months and have nothing, but as long as you keep learning about your target and you just be persistent, you will find something. Like it's the farther you go and the deeper you go, you will find issues that other people who gave up will not find. Like there's no other way to go about it. You have to go the furthest to find the most interesting and severe vulnerabilities. In this case, it all happened quite fast. But in other security research that I did, it usually took a lot longer to get to security problems like this.
And are you satisfied that this has been properly mitigated?
Yes, I think Microsoft cares about those issues, and I think we have a very good reason to keep going and look for more of those.
What are your recommendations for folks to protect themselves against these sorts of things? I mean, I suppose there's no evidence that this itself was being exploited, but it strikes me as one of those things that someone using Microsoft Azure, for example, they wouldn't have known that this was an issue.
Mm-hmm. I can speak specifically in this case. I think the concept of least privilege would be really helpful here. If you used Azure Automation and you assigned the minimal permissions that you actually need, or even don't assign any permissions at all if you don't need them, so you will be at significantly less risk compared to someone who just gave all the permissions to the managed identity. The concept of least privilege really shows that it matters, what you do and the decisions you make. Even as a customer, it can change how severe the issue can expose you.
Our thanks to Yanir Tsarimi from Orca Security for joining us. The research is titled AutoWarp, Critical Cross-Account Vulnerability in Microsoft Azure Automation Service. We'll have a link in the show notes. Thanks to Collide for their sponsorship. If you have Slack, Collide is the perfect solution to improve endpoint compliance while educating your employees about device security. Try it out for free at collide.com/researchsaturday. Thanks to Casada for their sponsorship. Casada stops the bot attacks others can't. Start today with a free instant test at casada.io/cyberwire. That's kasada.io/cyberwire. The Cyberwire podcast is proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. Our amazing Cyberwire team is Rachel Gelfand, Liz Irvin, Elliot Peltzman, Trey Hester, Brandon Karpf, Eliana White, Peru Prakash, Justin Sabi, Tim Nodar, Joe Kerrigan, Carol Terrio, Ben Yellen, Nick Valecki, Gina Johnson, Bennett Moe, Chris Russell, John Petrick, Jennifer Iben, Rick Howard, Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next week.